All four horsemen were in one body, a body full of pestilence so sick that there was no appetite, famine, a war within this human to stay alive, to not fall apart, to not self-implode, to not meet death. The end is near. Isn't that always what they say when the four horsemen arrive? It is the end of the world, the end of the future, and whatever past is left behind. She knows the end is near, and she loses weight and her memory and her thoughts, slowly at first, and then too fast to notice when it starts. Deterioration, decimation. What about the fifth horseman? The one who is left over when the other four wipe everything out. What about me once they take my mother? She cannot feed herself anymore and rejects most food. We need to give her a feeding tube, the nurse tells me. Famine. What if she doesn't want a feeding tube, I ask. But the nurse is already out of the room. She has some white blood cells, but not enough to combat the disease. War. The war of good versus evil in a 79-year-old woman who can no longer hold a pen. Her fever has risen, they tell me. And there's an infection in the lungs. Pestilence has come to conquer the woman that is only made of skin stretched over bones like a bird's wings. Fly, fly, mama, the fifth horseman says. Death watches slowly as she wilts, as her wings break off and she loses the ability to fly. The fifth horseman screams into her pillow at night until she loses her voice. What's a girl without her mother? Left over from the wreckage is a frail woman with hazy eyes and very limited speech. The same woman who wore a pantsuit to prom even though it was against school rules to wear pants as a girl. This was the same woman who told a clown to go fuck himself when he wouldn't give me a balloon to play with at a birthday party. A woman who told me the first breakup is always the hardest as I cried my adolescent tears all over her blouse. And all that is left are memories. Memories that my mother has forgotten. Who are you again, she asks when I see her. Patricia, I say. Which Patricia? Patricia, your daughter? Oh, yes, she says, but I can't be sure she knows who I am anymore, or if she is too proud to admit otherwise. The fifth horseman rarely sleeps. She drinks coffee and Red Bull so that she won't miss any part of her mother's apocalypse. What if the fifth horseman blinks and her mother is gone? My mother coughs and there's blood and I can't help but cry. Blood from inside is fighting its way out, escaping before the building self-destructs. Don't self-destruct, Mama, I whisper as she falls asleep. Tell me how I got here again, my mom asks, and so the fifth horseman tells her. You fell and broke your hip, I say. And while you were trying to get better, you got worse. Your body couldn't heal you, I say. Your body left you for dead, I want to say. But she is still looking at me attentively, four horsemen all inside one woman who just wants to know how it happened. And then you were diagnosed with lymphoma cancer, and you had chemo, but you had so few blood cells you got a very intense intestinal infection. And now it's just a lot of things. Too many things, the fifth horseman's mother says. Too many things wrong with one person. She seems to accept this and fall asleep. The fifth horseman drinks alone at the bar and goes home with a man in sales who brags about his new watch. But I'm crying and he no longer finds me attractive, so I walk from his apartment to my hotel. It takes 3 hours. It is 5 a.m. and I want to fight the four horsemen. The end is near, I say out loud. My mother looks smaller every day as the famine, war, pestilence, and first inklings of death start to drag her under. And the fifth horseman is there, hoping and praying they let her go.